Hey YouTube, it's Burgerbob here with Weekly 15. We've made a lot of them so far. This is really fun. I'm going to keep making more. Anyway, this week is about recording and being self-aware. Two things that you might go, what? How are those the same thing? But in trombone land, they basically are the same thing. So, starting with point number one, your sound that you make on the instrument is so very important. Trombone is a pretty, I wouldn't say singular, but you can be really personal with your sound. You can sound like lots of different things. I mean, equipment goes from 578 all the way down to 460 something for bores. I mean, the instrument can be so many different sizes, so many different configurations. You can play it in so many different things. Your sound is very personal, and you can tailor it to whatever you want. But first, you have to know what it is. I mean, that's an issue I see with a lot of players. And if you look at the big names now, and I'll pick two of the top classical tenor soloists, Christian Lindbergh and Joseph Alessi. If I had most of you guys listen to two recordings of the same piece, you'd be like, oh, that one's Joe Alessi because he sounds a little bit bigger and a little more American, which is kind of defined by him. And Christian Lindbergh sounds a little bit brighter and it's a little more energetic maybe. And you'd instantly know who those guys are. And that's what you want people to be able to do with you. And maybe not in quite such a soloistic way, but, like don't try to stick out so much, but you need to be able to hear yourself on recordings and stuff. Anyway, most people don't know what their sound is like, and I just said that, but we're going to get into that now. And I've had the same issue. A few years ago, I was playing a different instrument, a Holton, with a red bell. It's 10 inch instead of 9.5. Much smaller mouthpiece, just different setup, and I thought I was going great. It was really easy to play, and I was having a lot of fun. I get the hand kind of a lot in orchestra and wind ensemble. I was just like, whatever, I play bass trombone, woo! And then I finally got some recordings back of Nielsen 1, Symphony 1, Nielsen 1 or 2, I can never remember, and I was like, whoa. I'm playing kind of loud, kind of sticking out there. I'm kind of still sticking out. Like, I was playing all the right notes, they're pretty much in tune, but I couldn't hear like the rest of the trombones, I couldn't hear the tuba. It sounded like me playing with an orchestra instead of an orchestra. So, you kind of get it, I didn't know what I sounded like, and it turned out I was a lot brighter and a lot more forward than I thought I was. So, I kind of had to rethink my whole concept. And, it's taken me like 5 years, but I eventually end up here, which is not the same concept at all. Now I actually have one. And I kind of want to save you guys the trouble and get you guys there a little bit faster. So, and I won't tell you exactly what to strive for. We all have our own personal sound concepts, even if we don't, if you're not, completely aware of what it is. I mean, I have one that I'm very aware of what it is. I, have certain players that I like to sound like, and I kind of combine them all in my head, and I'm like, I like this sound, and I really strive for that. I'm not going to tell you guys what to do. That's a very personal thing. Don't ever let one person just be like, you need to sound like this. Sound like a euphonium. Nope, don't do that. Maybe sound more like Joe Alessi, but don't sound exactly like Joe Alessi. That's not something to strive for. Always sound like you, but maybe with a mixture of other people mixed together to make your sound. And really big point here, remember that the horn sounds completely different from behind the bell where you are, hopefully, and from in front of the bell. So, especially on bass trombones, you can't hear exactly what you're playing. And this goes for sound, which of course, the mouthpiece is vibrating back into your face and your jaw, and your jaw sends things to your ears, and your ears are like, oh, this is what it sounds like. And that's why when you record yourself talking, it sounds completely different than, what you hear in your head when you talk. When everyone hates that because they're like, oh, I sound so, I hate it. The same kind of thing happens on trombone. So on bass trombones especially, the way the flare is made and how big it is and how forward it is, you can't hear how loud you are. So lots of bass trombonists will play way too loud to hear themselves when they can really just back off and let the horn do the work. And I see this a lot in younger players, so just know that you might be playing too loud, and recording yourself is the best way to figure that out. Alright, so, recording. I had a weekly 2 weeks ago where I talked about my setup. You can see it's not like super expensive or anything. I don't have like the nicest stuff in the world, but I think it sounds pretty good. And honestly, you don't even need this much nice stuff. Uh-oh, I recorded, there it is. Ugh. I have this little Olympus digital voice recorder. It was like $70 or something, still kind of a lot. But it's tiny, it's portable, it just takes AAAs, it can record like 27 hours or something of the highest quality audio that it can do. It's in stereo, so you actually get separation and stuff. I don't even get that with my nice microphone. It's a pretty nice little recorder. It just has like little USB things. You just plug it in, get your files, you're good to go. I use this like when I'm on the go and I want to record a section or something. Sometimes I go to concerts, don't tell anybody, and I'll record something with it. It sounds great. I mean, it's not super high quality, and you're not going to, beat out Zooms and stuff, the nicer handheld recorders, but for $70, it's hard to go wrong. And like for even my nicer setup, I have maybe like $300, including the headphones and the amplifier and stuff. So, I mean, you don't have to spend too much to really get a good idea. And if you pass the equipment, just actual recording basics. So don't record way too close to the microphone. So like, I have my Shure right here. It's right there. You can see it. Don't ever play like this, just right into the microphone. That's not how they work. Especially in a small room like this. I've got lots of reverberation and stuff going for me. I mean, the sound's going to go like off the wall and then just bounce off the ceiling and right into the microphone. So I don't need to like play right into it. In bigger spaces, yes, you will probably have a microphone like on axis, just like a couple feet in front of you, and you'll try to play into it. But like for most recording situations by yourself, just kind of have a microphone somewhere in the room, not right in front of the bell, or else you're just going to overblow the crap out of it. And especially on smaller things like this and iPhones, just like smartphones in general, the microphones are not meant for loud things like trombone. Human voices are like 80 decibels, 90 decibels, maybe if you're like talking pretty loud. Trombone can get up to 114 decibels. And the decibel range is kind of interesting because every 10 decibels you go up, it's twice as loud. So it's a logarithmic scale. So trombone can be, like 3.5 times louder than someone yelling. It's not exact, but trombone can be really, really loud, and especially if you don't know what you're doing, then you're just going to clip the crap out of a microphone. And clipping is just when it's getting too much information and it can't even record all of it, and so it just gets the like distortion sound. Maybe you've recorded yourself on like a laptop or your smartphone. So just know that you can't record too close. I use this like I just recorded a few months ago. I recorded trombones and tuba playing excerpts, and I had this in like the front row of an auditorium, and we were on the stage. So it was like 40 feet away, and it sounded great. I mean, it's a little quiet. You can just have to turn it up, but if it were any closer, it would just be us destroying the microphone. So get used to placing your microphone maybe a little bit farther away, maybe off axis from the bell, so you're not just pulling straight at it. It's a trial and error thing. And then once you're actually listening to it, make sure you have good listening apparatus. If you're just like listening back with iPod earphones, you're gonna be like, wow, this sounds kind of weird, and that's because the actual reproduction of the sounds, the way it's coming back to you, isn't accurate. So I use studio monitor headphones with a nice DAC. You don't need to go this far. I mean, this whole setup here, just the listening setup, cost me like $110 because I got the headphones for $3, so I got the cheap. But you really need something just a little better than the bottom line, like laptop speakers, something like that. Don't use that kind of stuff to listen to yourself because you're not actually getting a good reproduction of what you sound like. And this is just a little side point, like when I multi-track, and I'll talk about this in a second, if you're using like a metronome to keep track of time, because I doubt most people can multi-track without a metronome, just use like one earbud to listen to the metronome while you multi-track. That way it's not going bing, 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 bing in the background, because that sucks to remove. Alright, so past the recording itself, practicing with the recording. So it's pretty simple. You hit record. I use Audacity on the PC. I mean, maybe you're using like a tablet or your phone or whatever. Just hit record, have it set up where you need to have it set up, and play. And I'll play a little... Wow, where did that come from? I'm going to play a little bit of Bordoni that I'm not really happy with. And I'll put some annotations in the video, up here somewhere, as to what I think of the recording, because it's hard to film me listening to the recording while also getting audio. I'm just not going to worry about it. So this is kind of what I'll do when I'm doing it myself. Alright, so I gave it my best shot for that time. Maybe my best shot's not that good, who knows? You just saw the annotations I put up. Surprise, surprise. So you just do that, and then you hit stop. I'm not going to do that now or else it messes up the video. And you'll go back, and you'll be like, alright. And you'll hit play, and you'll listen to it, maybe watch the music, follow along, and you'll be like, okay, so my release in measure 2 was bad. The A was really flat. I feel like I'm not leading into that well. You kind of go back and you're like, man, that sucks. Okay, stop. This is my next point. Know that there's going to be surprises. So especially if you've never recorded yourself or if you don't do it very often, know that there's going to be surprises, and most of them are probably going to be nasty surprises. You're going to be like, oh my god, all of my F sharps are a half step flat. I've never even noticed because I just got used to it. And then you listen and you're like, oh man, no! And that's probably the hardest part about recording yourself, is the nasty surprises. But you really just have to be honest with yourself and be like, okay, this is someone else playing and I'm critiquing them and they're paying me or something. Just give yourself a really good reason to be honest with yourself, and not lie to yourself about your performance. And that's just a general thing in life. Don't lie to yourself about how good you are. The Dunning-Kruger effect, maybe I'll link that right now or something. Don't get sucked into that. Recording yourself is a really good way to just avoid the whole peak and valley thing. And yeah, just like know it won't be perfect the first time. That recording I just did, I'll bet my F's were flat and it was totally out of time and I don't know, something else. It was probably horrible. Just know it's not going to be perfect. And that's what you're striving for, is to just shave off all those little outer things that are not good and just make it better. And know that the pros, like the really top guys, do this all the time. There's a video with Sarah's horn hangouts. She's the 4th horn in Berlin Philharmonic, so she's pretty good. And she did a video with the guy who plays 2nd and Stefan Schultz, who plays bass trombone. And somewhere in the interview, she talks about practicing and recording, and the guy who plays 2nd, I can't remember his name, sorry, I'm not totally up on European guys. He was like, yeah, I do that pretty much like 90% of the time that he practices. He records himself. So that's the kind of thing you hear. And she was like, that's why you're in the symphony, because we get people who do stuff like that. So know that you kind of need to record yourself to get better at the horn. It's good to have a teacher, like listen to you and tell you what's going on, but they can't listen to all the hours of practice you do. So you need to record yourself. And also, you don't always have to do it to beat up on yourself and be really mean. Multi-track. It's really fun. I do it myself. I don't know if I have any videos, but that little jingle that's in front of my older videos is me multi-tracking on trumpet and mellophone and baritone and tuba and trombone. And it was really fun to do. It's not super hard. I also have a couple SoundCloud recordings of me multi-tracking things. I won't get super into that here, but I can make a video on it someday. I'm not terribly good at it, which is why I don't make videos, but you get the idea. It doesn't always have to be not fun. And always, this will be my last point, remember that everything we do on the instrument is ultimately for the people listening and not for the people behind the bell. So, take that as you will, but when I'll be recording solo stuff and I'll be like, oh, that sounds pretty good, I'll be like, alright, now I'm going to put myself in the shoes of a listener and see if my phrasing is fun to listen to and if my articulations are, not way too over the top. And I'll listen and I'll be like, if I were listening to that for the first time as a, accountant or something, maybe I wouldn't want to listen to that again. So then I go back and I'm like, alright, starting from page 1, just remember that everything we do is for the listener and not for us. Alright, I'll leave you with that deep point, and I'll see you guys next week.